He said my OnlyFans was embarrassing. Now he's my top subscriber. My trembling fingers hover over the post button, my face concealed behind an ornate masquerade mask that covers everything but my lips and jawline. The ring light reflects in my eyes as I stare at the preview of my latest content, tastefully provocative, carefully anonymous, and about to earn me the final $350 I need for this month's tuition payment. This is temporary, I whisper to myself, the mantra repeated since starting my OnlyFans about 3 months ago, just until graduation. I study my budget spreadsheet with tired eyes. The $350 I need now is just to complete this month's tuition installment, but it's the third time I've fallen short this semester. My scholarship covers 70% of my costs, but between rising housing prices, my grandmother's medical expenses, the textbooks that cost more than my rent, I'm barely treading water. On my wall calendar, red circles mark future payment deadlines like approaching storms. I've calculated exactly how many posts I need to make each month to stay afloat, a precarious financial tightrope I never imagined walking when I graduated high school with honors. This is temporary, I whisper, though the mounting debt suggests otherwise. With a deep breath, I tap the screen. Post uploaded. My phone immediately pings with notifications, likes, comments, and subscription renewals. The validation should feel good, but instead, a familiar knot of anxiety tightens in my stomach. If the Mendoza Scholarship Committee ever discovers how their promising pre-med recipient is funding his education, everything I've worked for will crumble. I close the app and toss my phone onto my bed like it's burning my fingers. A few hours later. Later that night, I stand in the corner of a crowded fraternity house, nursing a beer and wondering why I let my roommate drag me here. Music thumps through the floorboards as sweaty bodies press together in what passes for dancing. I'm about to leave when a familiar booming laugh cuts through the noise. Ron Keller, star quarterback, campus golden boy, and the same guy who made my high school years a living hell, stands in the center of a circle of admirers, his broad shoulders shaking with laughter as he holds up his phone. "Look at this desperate shit," Ron bellows, turning his screen towards his friends. "People really out here taking off their clothes for strangers just to pay rent?" The circle erupts in laughter, but I can't move, can't breathe, because on that screen, in Ron's hand, is an unmistakable image. My own body, my own mask, my own carefully curated content. At least, that's how it looks like. Time slows as Ron scrolls through the feed, his friends peering over his shoulder. My heart hammers against my ribs so loudly I'm certain everyone can hear it. When Ron's eyes flick up and sweep across the room, I duck and push my way through the crowd toward the exit, knocking over someone's drink in my panic. Outside, I gulp the cold night air, hands on my knees, fighting the urge to vomit. Has Ron recognized me? Will my secret be campus gossip by morning? Will the scholarship committee receive an anonymous tip by Monday? The notification that pings on my phone the next morning does nothing to calm my fears. New subscriber. Secret Admirer 28 has subscribed to your premium content. Immediately followed by, Secret Admirer 28 has sent you a $500 tip with a message. Your secret's safe with me. I stare at the message, blood rushing in my ears. Someone knows. Someone knows and is paying for their silence. A few days later. Alvarez, you'll be partnered with Keller for the semester project. Professor Hansen's announcement feels like a bucket of ice water. I look across the organic chemistry lab to where Ron sits, expecting to see the same arrogant smirk that haunted my high school nightmares. Instead, Ron's eyes widen slightly before he offers an awkward half-smile and a nod. When Ron approaches my lab station, I brace myself for the worst. "Hey," Ron says, his voice unexpectedly soft. "I guess we're partners." I notice Ron's hands fidgeting with his lab notebook, a nervous gesture so at odds with his public persona that it momentarily throws me off balance. "Yeah," I manage. "I guess we are." Throughout the lab, Ron is nothing like the loud, cocky jock who dominates campus social life. He's focused, asks intelligent questions, and defers to my expertise when measuring reagents. Not once does he mention the party or anything about OnlyFans. As we clean our station, Ron clears his throat. I was thinking maybe we could study together sometime. This class is kicking my ass. The unexpected vulnerability in his tone makes me look up. Ron Keller? Asking for help? The same Ron who once taped a "Kick Me, I'm Gay" sign to my back in 10th grade? I don't know if I should, but I'm not like you, so maybe I might help, I hear myself say against my better judgment. The library, maybe? The library, maybe? I see Ron's face twitching, but then he plasters a smile which seems genuine. Works, I say with an unreadable expression. A few hours later. The library had emptied hours ago, leaving only the soft hum of fluorescent lights as Ron and I packed our notebooks. When our hands brushed, reaching for the same textbook, I felt an electric jolt pass. Sorry, I murmured, pulling back. Ron's eyes met mine, lingering a second too long. Don't be. In that moment, an unspoken tension crystallized, a charged awareness that had been building throughout our study session. The same hands that had once pushed me against lockers now carefully gathered my scattered notes, fingertips deliberately grazing mine with each exchange. It's late, Ron said, his voice lower than usual. I could walk you home. Outside, the campus was silent. We walked close enough that our shoulders occasionally touched, each contact sending warmth through my jacket. You're different than I thought you'd be, I admitted. Ron stopped walking, turning to face me. I'm trying to be who I should have been, all along. His gaze dropped to my lips for the briefest moment before he stepped back, respecting boundaries neither of us was ready to cross. Later that night. I was being skeptical, maybe a little anxious and panicky, knowing that this new subscriber knew my secret, meaning he was someone who knew me. It felt as if I was walking on the edge of a cliff, but as the days passed, talking to my new subscriber felt easy rather than me being anxious. Whoever this person was, he knew the worth of his words. He had kept my secret safe. That night, Secret Admirer 28 sent another message along with a generous tip. I love your mind as much as your body. Tell me about your day? Over the following weeks, Secret Admirer 28 becomes my most devoted subscriber, requesting personalized content, but also engaging in surprisingly thoughtful conversations. Unlike other subscribers who only care about the explicit content, Secret Admirer 28 seems genuinely interested in me as a person. Meanwhile, my study sessions with Ron evolve from awkward to surprisingly comfortable. Ron is different one-on-one, quieter, more thoughtful, and occasionally even funny in a self-deprecating way. A few days later. One night, after a long conversation with Secret Admirer 28 about my grandmother's hospital visits, my frustrations, my fears, I spot Ron at the campus coffee shop, dog-tired as always, but brightening when he notices me. He waves me over and, unprompted, buys me my favorite tea. You look like you could use a pick-me-up, he says with that rare, genuine Ron smile. That night, as I respond to Secret Admirer 28, feeling lighter, I'm struck by a weird double flash, how both Ron and my anonymous online friends see through me. It almost feels the same. The overlap makes my heart race. A few days later. During a late-night study session in an empty corner of the library, Ron abruptly closes his textbook. Can I tell you something I've never told anyone else? He asks, eyes fixed on the table. I nod, surprised by the serious tone. My dad was an NFL player, Ron says. 3 Super Bowl rings, Hall of Fame, the whole thing. Since I could walk, there's been only one acceptable future to me. To follow in his footsteps. He pauses, swallowing hard. But I'm not him. I don't even know if I want that life. What do you want? I ask. Ron's eyes meet mine, vulnerable and searching. I don't know. I've never been allowed to figure it out. He laughs humorlessly. And there's other stuff too, about who I am, who I'm attracted to. The confession hangs in the air between us, heavy with implication. Before I can respond, Ron's phone buzzes. He glances at it and immediately stands up. I've got to go. Dad's calling. He gathers his books hastily. Sorry for dumping all that on you. As Ron hurries away, I sit stunned, trying to reconcile this version of Ron with both my high school tormentor and the increasingly frequent, intimate messages from Secret Admirer 28. A few weeks later. The theft of my laptop a week later feels like the universe punishing me for my secrets. My entire life is on that computer. Class notes, research papers, and most terrifyingly, files and bookmarks related to my OnlyFans account. If someone connects the dots... I'm sitting on the steps outside the science building, head in my hands, when Ron finds me. You missed lab, Ron says, sitting beside me. Everything okay? I explain about the stolen laptop, carefully omitting why it's so devastating beyond the loss of my schoolwork. I can help, Ron offers immediately. My roommate's a computer science major. He taught me how to track devices. When I look skeptical, Ron shrugs. I'm not just a dumb jock, you know. 2 hours later, we're across campus following the ping of my laptop to a coffee shop where a freshman is using it openly. Ron confronts him with surprising authority, and the terrified kid surrenders the laptop without argument. How did you know how to do that? I ask as we walk back to my dorm. Ron's smile is sheepish. Some things are better left unsaid. If football wasn't the plan, maybe I would have studied engineering or something. I studied Ron's profile, seeing him truly for the first time. Thank you, I say sincerely. That night, I examined my recovered laptop for any signs of tampering. A chill runs down my spine when I discover unfamiliar browsing history. Someone had searched my name alongside J Unlocked before wiping most of the browser data. Someone was looking for evidence, I whisper to myself. I lock into my Sherlock Holmes persona as I try to find evidence. The laptop wasn't stolen randomly. Someone was trying to connect me to the account, I say in panic. I immediately go through my OnlyFans account, trying to find any strange or mysterious activity when I see a new subscriber. Sure enough, a subscriber named Vindicator V had joined 3 days before my laptop disappeared. Under any other circumstances, this wouldn't have rung any alarm, but this was too much of a coincidence. I use my brain till it maxes out and until I'm stuck at one name. Vince. It had to be him. He's always had it out for scholarship students, claims that they're taking opportunities from real Americans like him. And just as I try to connect the dots, I remember when my phone glitched during study group last month. It was open to the creator side of the app for a second before I grabbed it. I was sure that the glitch was for an ample amount of time, giving people a chance to look at my phone if they were interested. Laptop theft wasn't random. It was the first move in what would become Vince's blackmail attempt, connecting threads I hadn't seen before. A few hours later. Rain drummed against my window as Ron sat cross-legged on my dorm room floor, explaining how he'd tracked my laptop. You have to understand digital footprint, he explained, animated in a way I'd never seen in class. Everything leaves traces. I leaned down from my bed, transfixed not by his words, but by the passionate spark in his eyes, the way his hands moved expressively as he spoke. What? He asked, catching me staring. Nothing, just there are so many versions of you. The quarterback, the secret tech geek, the guy sending me messages as... I stopped, knowing the words had almost slipped out. On the other hand, Ron looked as if someone had drained color from his face. What were you saying? He whispered. Rather than answer, I reached out slowly, my fingers tracing the line of his jaw. His eyes closed at my touch, breath catching. Nothing, just that, while spending time with you, I had realized that you've been looking at me as a person, not just a means to bully, I admitted. When his eyes opened, panic replaced vulnerability. Because I've always seen you, Jay, even when I was too afraid to admit why I couldn't look away. He rose to his knees, bringing our faces level. He leaned forward, hesitating just shy of contact, silently asking permission. I answered by closing the distance, pressing my lips to his in a kiss that started gentle but quickly deepened with years of repressed longing. When we broke apart, breathless, Ron pressed his forehead to mine. I've imagined this so many times. Whatever it is, you better show me, I whispered, pulling him closer. Later that night. I wasn't just sus about the laptop, but also the fact that my anonymous generous subscriber might be someone I knew, so I set a trap. I had once discussed with Secret Admirer 28 that I wanted a specific bookmark, so I created content visible only to Secret Admirer 28, a photo of myself holding a specific chemistry textbook with a question. If only I had that bookmark and a cute emoticon. If I were right about my secret admirer, I would see him in person tomorrow. The next day, during our study session, I watched Ron closely. When he pulls out his textbooks, my heart stops. There, marking a page in Ron's organic chemistry book, is the exact bookmark I had told my secret admirer last night. No one knew about it except for him, but now, seeing the same with Ron, it didn't seem to be a coincidence anymore. Ron is Secret Admirer 28. Why did you torment me in high school? I ask suddenly, the question escaping before I can stop it. Ron's head snaps up, eyes wide open with surprise. What? In high school, you made my life hell. The locker room incidents, the rumors, the jokes. Why? Ron's face flushes and he looks away. I've been in therapy for years, trying to understand that myself. His voice barely audible. I couldn't process my attraction to you. It terrified me. Attraction? I repeat, my suspicions solidifying. I was raised to believe those feelings were wrong, but they wouldn't go away. Ron's hands are shaking. By senior year, I hated myself more than anyone else could. That doesn't excuse what I did to you. Nothing does. And now? Are you still terrified? I ask carefully. Ron finally meets my gaze. Every day. But I'm trying to be better. To be honest with myself, at least. Neither of us acknowledges Ron's secret subscription, the anonymous messages, the money changing hands, but something shifts between us that day. A few months later. 2 days before the gala, I'm leaving the anatomy lab when Vince corners me in the empty hallway. Working hard as always, Alvarez? He says, leaning against the wall. Must be exhausting, being perfect by day and something else at night. I keep my expression neutral despite my racing heart. What are you talking about? He holds up his phone, showing a secret screenshot of my masked profile next to a candid photo of me leaving the gym. Same birthmark on your hip? Same scar on your shoulder from that high school chemistry accident? He zooms in on the details visible in both images. The mask hides your face, but you forgot about the identifying marks, Jay. Or should I call you Jay Unlocked? My blood runs cold, realizing my fatal oversight. The small crescent-shaped birthmark just above my waistline, visible in a mirror selfie I'd posted last month. The thin white scar from a lab accident, senior year, captured in profile during a stretching video. Small, distinctive details I'd never considered could betray my identity. 2 days later. The university's spring gala is meant to be a celebration of academic achievement and donor appreciation. As a scholarship recipient, I'm required to attend, making polite conversation with the wealthy benefactors who fund my education. I'm in the middle of explaining my research interests to an elderly alumnus when my phone buzzes repeatedly in my pocket. Excusing myself, I check the notification and feel the blood drain from my face. Unknown number. I know Jay Unlocked is you. Send $5,000 to this account or the scholarship committee gets screenshots tonight. Followed by images of my OnlyFans content next to photos from my university profile. I stumble toward the exit, gasping for air. In the hallway, I collide with Vince. Careful, Alvarez, Vince sneers. Wouldn't want to make a scene in front of your sponsors. What do you want? I whisper. I told you. 5,000 by midnight, or everyone knows how their star pre-med student really pays the bills. Vince smirks. I've always said the scholarship committee made the wrong choice. Now they'll see it too. I return to the gala in a daze, mind racing through impossible options. I don't have $5,000. Even with my OnlyFans income, I'm barely staying afloat. By tomorrow, my academic career could be over. I'm contemplating simply walking out and never coming back when Ron's voice booms across the ballroom. Vince! Just the guy I was looking for. Ron strides over to where Vince is chatting with a group of donors, his quarterback confidence on full display. I watch in confusion as Ron throws an arm around Vince's shoulders, his grip visibly tight. I need to borrow this guy for a second, Ron tells the group with his charismatic smile. Ron steers Vince toward a quiet corner, where an intense conversation ensues. I can't hear the words, but I see Vince's face pale as Ron leans in, speaking with quiet intensity. When Ron pulls out his phone and shows Vince something on the screen, Vince's expression changes from smug to horrified. Minutes later, Ron releases Vince, who practically runs from the ballroom. Ron's eyes immediately seek out mine, and he gives a small nod before slipping outside. I follow, finding Ron in the garden as rain begins to fall. What did you do? I demand. Ron turns, raindrops already darkening his suit. I handled it. He won't bother you again. How did you even know? I stop, the pieces clicking into place. You knew he was blackmailing me. I've known who you are for months, Jay. Ron's voice is steady despite the rain now soaking us both. I'm Secret Admirer 28. Even though I'd already figured it out, hearing the confession aloud makes my heart race. So at the party, when you were showing your friends my content... I wasn't mocking you, Ron interrupts. I was showing them a completely different account. But I saw your face when you thought I was exposing you. You looked terrified, and I realized it was you behind the mask. So you subscribed to what? Spy on me? Gather blackmail material? No. Ron steps closer, rain streaming down his face. I subscribed because I couldn't stop thinking about you. Because even though you hid your face, I recognized your body, your movements, the way you talk. I've been watching you for years, Jay. That's supposed to make me feel better? I shout over the increasing downpour. That my high school bully has been obsessively following me? I followed you because it was the only way I felt connected to you. Ron's voice cracks. Every message I sent was real. Every conversation we had, I've spent years in therapy trying to become someone worthy of even talking to you again. What did you show to Vince to make him back off? Ron looks away. Evidence that he cheated on his organic chemistry midterm. I've been gathering dirt on him since freshman year, when he drugged a girl at a party. Why would you do that for me? Because I'm in love with you, Ron says simply, the rain washing away any pretense. I've been in love with you since we were 17. I just didn't know how to handle it then. I stare at him, water dripping from my eyelashes. You can't be in love with me. You don't even know me. I know you work harder than anyone I've ever met. I know you visit your grandmother every Sunday, even though she doesn't always remember who you are. I know you're brilliant and kind and determined. Ron steps closer. And I know you're carrying too much on your shoulders alone. The rain intensifies, but neither of us moves to seek shelter. What happens now? I ask, vulnerability breaking through my anger. Whatever you want, Ron says. I just needed you to know the truth. Thunder rumbles overhead as we stand, facing each other. A few weeks later. 2 weeks later, My student loans fell through due to a processing error. The panic attack hits me in the middle of the library, chest tightening, vision tunneling, breath coming in gasps. I barely make it to a bathroom stall before collapsing. The door creaks open, and Ron's concerned voice calls my name. Somehow, he knows exactly where to find me. I can't breathe, I gasp. Ron kneels beside me, taking my hand and placing it against his own chest. Feel my breathing. Match it. Slow and steady. For minutes that feel like hours, we breathe together, Ron's calm voice guiding me back from the edge of panic. When I can finally speak again, Ron is still there, holding my hand. How did you know? I ask. I saw your face when you checked your phone. I know that look. Ron's thumb traces circles on my palm. What happened? I explain about the loans, the impossible financial hole, the looming deadline. Let me help, Ron says immediately. I don't want your charity. It's not charity, it's... Ron hesitates. Consider it an investment in us. Us? I repeat. Instead of answering, Ron leans forward slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. When our lips meet, it's gentle, questioning. I find myself responding, my hand moving to his face, feeling the slight stubble against my palm. When we part, Ron rests his forehead against mine. There's an us, if you want there to be. That night, I create content unlike anything I've posted before. Not explicit, but intimate. A video message meant for one viewer only, speaking truths I've never said aloud. I send it to Secret Admirer 28 with a simple message. The real me, for the real you. Ron's response comes minutes later. I've never wanted anyone but you. A few days later. Our relationship evolves in quiet moments, study sessions that turn into deep conversations, morning runs that end with breathless kisses in empty parks. I discover Ron leaves encouraging sticky notes in my textbooks before exams, little messages of support hidden between the pages on cardiac rhythms and neurochemistry. In return, I attend every one of his games, proudly wearing his jersey number, cheering louder than anyone when he breaks the college's passing record. Together, we create a bucket list of experiences we've both missed while hiding parts of ourselves. Our first Pride Parade, slow dancing at a campus event, holding hands in public without flinching. When my grandmother needs to move to a better nursing home, Ron not only helps physically move her belongings, but spends hours charming her with stories and listening to her fragmented memories. Ron shows up with a bouquet. For you both, he insists. He charms her easily, treating her with respect and patience. My last few boyfriends, if they could even be called that, never bothered with. Watching him coax a smile from her, I feel something fall into place. His kindness, his careful attention, the way he listens, is why my defenses have been crumbling. I catch my reflection in a window and mouth it silently to myself. I love him. She likes you more than me now, I joke as we leave the facility. Ron squeezes my hand. She told me to take care of her grandson. I promised I would. The promise is tested when Ron's father shows up unannounced at his apartment, only to find Ron and me cooking dinner together, domestic and clearly intimate. What is this? William Keller demands, his imposing frame filling the doorway. Ron straightens his shoulders, standing between his father and me. This is my boyfriend, Dad. This is my life. The argument that follows is brutal. Accusations of throwing away his future, destroying the family legacy, disappointing everyone who counted on him. Through it all, Ron stands firm, his hand finding mine halfway through. I'm still gonna play football, Ron says calmly. I'm still going to graduate. I'm just gonna do it as my whole self, not the version of me you created. When his father storms out with threats of cutting him off financially, Ron collapses onto the couch, shaking but resolute. Are you okay? I ask, sitting beside him. No, Ron admits, but I will be. He'll either come around or he won't. I'm not hiding anymore. That night, we make love with a new intensity, all pretenses gone, all masks removed. A few hours later. Later that night, as we sit on Ron's balcony watching the campus lights, I broach the subject I've been avoiding. Your dad threatened to cut you off financially, I say carefully, but you've never seemed worried about money. Ron's eyes remain fixed on the distance. My grandfather believed in independence. When he died, he left trusts for each grandkid that our parents can't touch. He turns to me. Dad's threats about money are just another control tactic. I've had my own resources since I turned 18. I still have enough for us to be secure while I establish my career and you finish med school. He smiles wryly while continuing. I've been quietly investing since high school. I shake my head. Why didn't you tell me this sooner? Because I didn't want money to complicate what we were building. You needed to trust me for me, not for financial security. A few weeks later. The championship game coincides with my grandmother's hospitalization after a serious fall. I insist Ron play. It's the game scouts from every NFL team will be watching, but my texts grow increasingly worried as her condition deteriorates. At halftime, with the team down by 14 points and his father watching stone-faced from the stands, Ron makes a decision that changes everything. He hands his helmet to his bewildered coach. My boyfriend's grandmother is dying, he says simply. I need to be there. The coach's expression shifts from confusion to understanding. Go. Family comes first. Ron arrives at the hospital still in his uniform, finding me alone in the waiting room, red-eyed and exhausted. What are you doing here? I ask in disbelief. The game doesn't matter, Ron says, taking my hands. Not compared to this. We sit together through the night, Ron still in his dirty jersey, holding me as I grieve. The hospital waiting room emptied as visiting hours ended, leaving only Ron and me beneath harsh fluorescent lights. My grandmother's condition had stabilized, but the doctor's guarded prognosis hung heavy between us. You should go home, I told Ron, noticing the exhaustion lining his face. Your game tomorrow is less important than being here with you, he finished firmly, his arm tightening around my shoulders. I asked Ron knowingly, aren't you supposed to be winning a championship right now? Ron shrugged. Some victories are worth more than others. I turned to him. You've worked your whole life for that game. The scouts, your future. My future is right here, he interrupted, taking my face in his hands. Football is what I do. You're who I am. The simple honesty in his voice broke something open inside me. Tears I'd been holding back spilled over, and Ron pulled me against his chest, unmindful of how many tears mixed with the dirt and sweat of his jersey. I've got you, he murmured into my hair. Always. Hours later, curled uncomfortably across waiting room chairs, Ron's jacket draped over me as a makeshift blanket, I studied his sleeping face. Even unconscious, one of his hands remained protectively over mine. I thought about the boy who had once called me names in crowded hallways, now the man who whispered endearments in private moments. The journey between those two versions of himself couldn't have been easy, yet he'd made it, step by painful step. Leaning over, I pressed my lips to his forehead, stirring him from sleep. What? He asked ruggedly. I love you, I said for the first time. Not just for being here tonight, for becoming who you are. Even half asleep, his smile transformed his face. Say it again. I laughed softly. I love you, Ron Keller. He pulled me close, whispering against my lips. I've loved you since before I understood what love was. The next day. Ron's phone had been buzzing all night with messages from teammates, coaches, and his furious father. He ignored them all, focusing entirely on supporting me. What neither of us expected is the media storm that followed. By choosing to leave the championship game to support his boyfriend, Ron had inadvertently come out to the entire sports world. The story spreads across sports networks and social media, opinions divided between those calling him a hero and others questioning his commitment to football. NFL scouts who had been interested suddenly went quiet. Ron's father publicly disowns him. Anonymous hate floods both our inboxes. But something unexpected happens too. LGBTQ+ athletes from across the country reach out with messages of support. The university's LGBTQ+ center is flooded with donations in Ron's name, and most surprisingly, several of Ron's teammates show up at his apartment with food and solidarity. "The team voted," his center tells him. "We want you as our quarterback next season, no matter what." A few days later. Meanwhile, I face my own crisis. Someone has connected Ron's very public boyfriend to the masked creator, Jay Unlocked. With my medical school applications pending and the scholarship committee requesting a meeting, exposure seems inevitable. The night before the committee meeting, I made a decision. "I'm gonna tell them everything," I tell Ron, "before someone else does." "Are you sure?" Ron asks. "We could fight this. I have savings." "No more hiding," I say firmly. "You taught me that." The committee meeting is tense, but not what I expect. After explaining my financial situation and why I turned to OnlyFans, the committee chair speaks. "Mr. Alvarez, we recently received an anonymous donation to establish a new emergency fund for students facing financial hardship," she says. The donor specifically mentioned wanting to prevent students from risking their own safety or privacy to fund their education. My eyes widen. When was this donation made? About 6 months ago. The donor requested anonymity, but said they were inspired by a student who showed remarkable resilience in difficult circumstances. The main problem was still there. I had no idea if I could access the fund money given for the behavior code I had been booked for. I had to go through another committee meeting, and I just hoped things would favor. A few hours later. The committee meeting begins with 5 stern faces seated across from me. I explain everything. The financial desperation, the anonymous account, the precautions I took to separate my identities. "Mr. Alvarez," Dean Trickwood says after my confession, "while the emergency fund may assist students moving forward, it doesn't excuse violations of our code of conduct." My heart sinks as he continues. "However, before making our decision, we reviewed your complete academic and personal record. Your works demonstrate character beyond this lapse in judgment." Professor Chen, the quietest committee member, finally speaks. "The committee has voted to place you on probation rather than revoke your scholarship. You'll need to complete 20 hours of ethics training and community service hours, and of course, the account must be permanently closed." Dean Trickwood leans forward. "We're making this decision not because of any donation, but because we believe your potential contribution to medicine outweighs this mistake. Don't make us regret this exception, Mr. Alvarez." Walking out, I feel both grateful and chastened, understanding that I've been given a second chance many others wouldn't receive. Later, when I confront Ron about the anonymous donation, he doesn't deny it. "I used most of my trust fund," he admits. "After I realized what you were going through, I couldn't stand the thought of other students facing the same impossible choices." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you would have seen it as charity or pity," Ron says. "It wasn't. It was me trying to be the person I should have been ages ago." 1 year later. 1 year later, I sit in my new apartment, staring at my acceptance letter to medical school. Ron is at an NFL rookie camp, having been drafted in the 6th round. Our relationship has survived a year of public scrutiny, financial uncertainty, and long-distance challenges. My phone pings with a notification from a private account I now maintain for just one subscriber. Secret Admirer 28 has sent you a message. Check your mailbox. Curious, I go downstairs to find a small package. Inside is a velvet box containing not a ring, but a key with a note. I bought a place halfway between your med school and my training facility. It's yours, it's mine, it's ours. No more hiding, no more distance, just us. Below the signature is a PS. Look under the foam. I lift the foam insert to find a simple silver band with an inscription inside. From your not-so-secret admirer. Forever. That evening, we host our first live stream together on our YouTube channel we had created for LGBTQ plus youth. As our faces appear side by side on camera, no masks or secrets between us, I feel Ron's hand squeeze mine under the desk. Welcome to Beyond the Closet, I begin. I'm Jay Alvarez, future doctor. And I'm Ron Keller, current rookie quarterback and future husband to this guy. Ron adds with a grin, raising my hand to show the silver band now on my finger. As comments flood in from young people sharing their own stories of hiding and hoping, I realize we've created something more valuable than any content I'd ever posted before. A space where authenticity is celebrated, where past mistakes can lead to growth, and where love can flourish in the open. Ready for the next chapter? Ron whispers as we prepare to take our first question. I look at the man beside me, the bully turned protector, the secret admirer turned public advocate, the teammate who has become my partner in every sense of the word. I've never been more ready for anything in my life, I reply, and click accept on the first caller. The end. What would you do if you found your crush's OnlyFans account? Thanks for watching.